Thank you very much, Media Center, for hosting us. This is quite new for me, so when we break a bit of protocol, we apologize, members of the press and the Fourth Estate. But allow me, when you are very powerful people, sometimes it's difficult to understand where the protocol begins. But the Honorable Minister, the Minister of State for Investment, Evelyn Anite, who is here with a big delegation, but this is really the smaller part of the delegation that we will have when we are talking about the Uganda and South Africa summit. But allow me also to recognize our ambassador to South Africa, His Excellency Paul Amoru, who is here with us. Thank you very much, sir. The presidential advisor, known to all of us, but here also under PASID, Odrek Rabogo. The Private Sector Foundation and the other organizations, I'm sure you've seen the Executive Director, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Stephen Asimwe, who's at the forefront of putting this together. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is represented here, and we want to thank you, sir, and other colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who are here. The Uganda Investment Authority is mandated to promote investment in our country, represented here by the chairman himself, Morrison Rakakamba, and the Director General, Mr. Mchiza. We have Uganda Tourism Board, and I know a lot of you later will still be here for another press conference on tourism, but we have the Uganda Tourism Board that is represented here. We have our community in South Africa, Ugandans living in South Africa, that are represented here. And so this is who we really are. And this morning we'll try and keep it very short. We are here to talk about the Uganda-South Africa summit that will be taking place later this month. The numbers, and this is really going to be a press conference of numbers, you must prepare yourself to understand why is this a very important meeting and who will actually be there at this forum. So I don't want to break the ice because some of this breaking news is the responsibility of the Honorable Minister. So allow me to invite the Honorable Minister to come and first of all introduce the first part of our press conference. You're welcome, Honorable Minister. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Morrison. Morrison. That's very good. Good morning, members of the press. I said good morning. Good morning. We are very excited to come again to Uganda Media Center to give breaking news of exciting things that is happening in our country. I'll give back a history of how we started as NRM and what our intentions are for this country, right from what His Excellency the President deemed fit for his country, for our country, when he took over power in 1986. Now you all do recall that the NRM came up with its 10-point programs. And the President, out of one of our 10-point programs, point number 5, speaks about building a self-sustaining, integrated economy. And that is exactly the reason why we're here today. We're here to come and tell you we're still on the agenda of building an integrated and self-sustaining economy. And we can only do this by attracting FDI, by encouraging our domestic investors to invest in our country and encouraging you Ugandans to invest in your country. This time, we have chosen to go to South Africa. And we're going to South Africa to get investors who are interested in coming to invest in Uganda. And as we go to South Africa, we're also going to look for markets. We are expanding our territories because demand for our goods has grown. And production, because of the tireless speech of His Excellency the President, has gone high. And that is why our investment promotion agenda has expanded just beyond attracting FDI, but also looking for markets for our products. That said, His Excellency the President appointed Odrek to be the presidential advisor on export promotion. And now, business unusual. We usually come here and we say, yes, we're going to visit another country. And you just hear that the president has gone, has come back. Today, we want to start our press conference by bringing to you the voice of the president on how and where he's going and when he's going. But before we get to hear from the president, because I told you it is investment promotion, export promotion, and attracting of FDI in our country, allow me ask Mr. Odrick Rabogo to come and invite the voice recording of His Excellency the President. Yes. I want him to invite the voice recording of the president. If the president was here, I would be the one to invite. But I told you, we're not following protocols. We are on an agenda. And what's our agenda? We want to take our country beyond middle income status. You heard our president talking about us already reaching middle income status, but we have to maintain that status for at least 3 years. And after that, what next? We want to be a developed economy. And how do we do it? We have to encourage investment, and we have to make sure that we export what we manufacture in our country. My brother Odrick, would you like to come and invite the voice of His Excellency the President and probably the video?
Thank you, my sister Evelyn. Good morning. Good morning, huh? Morning, members of the press. Please, I apologize. I don't do titles, so I take people as brothers and sisters. Yeah? So if I miss protocols, I apologize. Yeah? The Honorable Minister, my sister Evelyn, Minister for Finance for Investment, Chairman of the Board of UIA and the ED. I see Lillian there from UTB. Very good to see you. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Private Sector Foundation. My brother Paul, our High Commissioner in South Africa. And all of you who gathered here this morning. First, I'm extremely delighted because when people speak the same language on an issue, when you coordinate institutions of government to see the same dashboard on an issue that matters, such as trade, export, investment, you are delivering an underlying message that whatever happens, it really matters that Uganda is one person, that all institutions of government serve, private and public, serve what really matters, which is create jobs for young people, improve the level of manufacturing, ensure that you can add value to everything that we produce, and build a better country for our children for tomorrow. So, when you're making a movie, because I have a media background, it is always good to start with the end. Will the man die in his own movie, or will he survive? Likewise, trade, export, investment, you begin with an end in mind. Now, we have an end in the next 5 years, and where I stand really is I am a farmer, I'm a businessman. I am not supposed to be in any government relations at all. But I lost 40% of my clients in the last 2 years. I lost 65% of our gross sales annually. And I am not attracting better skill unless I can sell as a business, unless I can understand the markets differently. Because of that struggle of me and many people like me who sell matoke, who sell grains, who sell all sorts of products, we were compelled to find a middle ground to pull in government and private sector to speak the same language. Why? So go speak to URA. URA and the country lost $1.6 billion in only 2 financial years. It's never happened in 36 years. Tax revenue wiped off our books. We lost 300,000 jobs. So I keep giving this example. On 18th of March 2020, we had 85,000 pubs, bars across the country, alcoholic bars. They were shut down for 2 years, each employed 3 people. So you need to think of those 3 people and their dependents, where they went. and this is just buzz. So if you go into salons, if you go into, you will find that a lot happened in those 2 years and we haven't figured out how to deal with those things. Our internal borrowing rate has gone up. All the fundamentals we've held to for a long time were shaken. And when things are shaken in business, it's not a normal day. You want to do one thing: sell more, sell more, sell more. Attract equity more, equity more, equity more in the business. So if I take my business as Uganda, that's what we are doing. The end in mind, 2028, is we must raise $6 billion new money. Today we export about 5.56. So by 2028, we want to be at 12. It's a huge undertaking, but 6 billion is what Bill Gates gives away every year. We feel we can do it if we speak the same language, private and public, if we deal with infrastructure issues, attitude issues, things I don't have time to go through today. So we decided that to get that 6 billion new money, you need to do 4 things. First, study the markets. Markets are different. I am different from my sister Evelyn. My voice print, my thumbprint are different. What she eats, I may not like. What I dress, she may not like. Markets are like that. You got to study them, even if it is what they call dipstick survey in research, and understand tastes and preferences, so that you know what you sell to Congo is not what South Africans eat. What you sell in Britain is not what Kenyans eat. So in each market, study it, appoint a trade representative. Make sure people know why Uganda coffee is not on the shelves, why Uganda Sim Sim is not sold in this market, yet we have increased production. This is 1. 2, deal with regulations and compliance to standards that we haven't had for a long, long time. So we have the food safety law, for example, that we last amended in 1964, and we touched it again in 2005. We have just now opened it and separated food from drugs between the Ministry of Agriculture and Health to ensure that we can take food, we can take our chilies, and there's less interception in these markets. But that also when we take our chilies, we find investment in the value chain for chilies. So it's kind of shooting 3 birds with 1 stone. The third thing we work on is export infrastructure. I can try and do roads, railways, ports, airports, aircrafts, but there is such a few things you can do at exit points and ensuring that things don't end in markets where they are not supposed to end, or increase capacity at export point of, at the point of exit. So infrastructure for exports is large, but we could pick out a few. Instead of dealing with so many vessels on Lake Victoria, pick 1 or 2 that you can focus on that will deliver products at Mwanza in time, maybe for Tanzania Railways to deliver this to Dar es Salaam. I'm just running through very quickly. The final one is that nobody gets onto the market without export credit fund. The Chinese bring here their products, they scout the market. I'm using them as an example. They are my wonderful friends. But they deliver things here at zero, almost zero interest rate. When they find an invoice, it's underwritten at almost 0%. Mine is 18% before I can sell in my neighborhood. Before I can even wake up, they are already up 30,000 feet above sea level. When will I catch up? I can only catch up if I increase the quantity of funding for export and the quality of that money and bring on as low as $10,000 people that sell poultry, as well as bring in $1 million people who want to export flowers. So we took this target across 13 products. I'm very happy to see UTB here because tourism lost a substantial chunk of their rivals and the money. So we have a target on tourism. We have a target on coffee, on beef, on fruits, on vegetables, and we don't have time. I've just come from a meeting with the sugar people. If we don't organize our sugar industry, We cannot get the $200 million we require because the sugar sector is disorganized. New licensees come in without dealing with the old ones. We cannibalize what is there. So these discussions have to be granular and have to be brutal. We can't waste any more time. If we don't raise this money, our children will blame us. So it doesn't matter. I keep telling people, I turned 53, I'm not a young man. 53, if I have, in 2062, I'll be 82. I'll be here. Uganda will be 100 years old. What does it profit me to spend my time fighting Ruakakamba? What? I need to use the remaining 40 years to do something greater for the country. Because these jurisdictional battles is what causes us problems, and we don't see a singular dashboard that says jobs, 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 manufacturing, investment, investment. It doesn't matter who is bringing it in. It matters that it comes in. It doesn't matter that you have it at lunch, you missed it at breakfast, but it matters that you eat something. That's all. And that for me is why I have a sense of urgency. So when my sister calls me, I'm very excited because the coordinating institutions is one of the troubles we have, and we will. We will do it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We will crawl on the ground, we will stand, we will salute until we have more increase in our exports. So the president has been kind to us, to listen to us, to say, if the private sector comes in and complains, I need to listen. And he's given the work of all institutions in export, including our committee, all the support. He has agreed that he does not go on a market without the private sector anymore. A few weeks ago, my sister was in the Middle East with him and Ugandan private sector. A few weeks prior in December, we were in Chicago, we were in London, and he was there. Now, he has shot a message and greeted the South Africans in their language to say, Ugandans are coming. And that's the message that I want to bring on, so that you know, it's not business as usual in terms of exports and investment. And we're not ashamed of going and naming people who stand in the way of that. And we want your support as media. Because if we can do this in 5 to 10 years, for me, I'm out of here. Out, gone, because I have a farm to look after. I have teenagers, by God's grace, who will be getting married. I'll be a grandfather. I don't want to do the stuff that I should really be doing today. So I need all the support. All the support. Our country needs all the support to recover the growth we had before, attract $1 billion in investment outside oil and gas. Please, oil and gas, leave it. We were growing without it. We will keep growing with it. So the attention on it is good, but let's keep growing tourism. Let's growing farms, FA and FI. Let's keep growing the skills and technology of our young people. That's really what matters for the country. So is the video ready? I have to stop here. Honorable Evelyn, I can go on. Can we play the video now? Maurice, please.
to the business community and investors in South Africa. Sawubona. That's how that's how you greet, and it is part of our language here. Uganda has been steadily growing, and some of you have testimony of this, as you have invested in the country over the last 26 years. Our production of several food and industrial products such as coffee, tea, sugar, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, palm oil, beef, etc. has increased more than tenfold. We now need markets, especially under the African Continental Free Trade Area, CFTA, to ensure we have balanced trade that raises incomes for all Africans. I therefore invite you to attend in large numbers the two-day Export and Investment Summit organized by our business community in Uganda and the High Commission in Pretoria from the 27th of February to the 1st of March 2023. Several of our exporters of flowers, pharmaceuticals, coffee, cocoa, chocolates, fruits and vegetables, and many others, products that I'm told are increasingly sold in South Africa today on account of the Uganda Airlines flight to Johannesburg, will be assembling in Pretoria to find market and partnerships to expand the business. This is an opportunity to partner with them to grow the sector where South Africa might have a need and Uganda has an advantage, and vice versa. Uganda has a lot of opportunity in iron ore and steel, where over 25 different types of minerals and a very good weather all around the year for tourism. I invite you to invest more in these sectors. I thank you for all the South African investments in the telecommunications and the banking sectors, where you have provided opportunity for many. But I ask you to do more, especially now under the CFTA, to add value to more of our products for export in the region and in the world. I encourage Ugandan companies to prepare themselves for the markets we have opened up over the years, especially now that we have improved infrastructural capacity across the country. In March 2023, I would like these Ugandan products to go to Algeria, these Ugandan exporters, to go to Algeria to participate in another trade summit there. I appeal to all the RDCs across Uganda to participate and coordinate the work of production in the districts for better aggregation of our products for exports, and to enforce the standards and compliance measures we have worked on. This is why we commissioned the parish development model, so that we can bring more people into the money economy at the household level. Please support our private sector efforts to export many of these products coming from the PDM efforts this year. It should be aggregated and sold to the private sector companies that are trying to break into new markets. This should be done with the standard to get our companies to compete with others in Africa and beyond. I'll be attending this business summit and appointing a trade representative to the South African market to work with our High Commission and the Ugandan diaspora to ensure we can improve our exports on this market. Thank you very much.
All right, so thank you very much, Audrek, and of course unveiling His Excellency's message, confirming he will be in Pretoria on the 27th of this month to the 1st of March for the Uganda-South Africa Business Summit. He did speak to Uganda Airlines and how it's actually been part of the drivers of this conversation. We have Shakira here from Uganda Airlines, and they're actually flying to South Africa, I think, 4 times a week. And one of the most exciting things, Honorable Paul, before you come, is that that flight is always full. We have members of parliament, I think, who were still in South Africa, and they couldn't get business class seats. That's how busy that flight is. So the members of parliament are traveling economy, which is good for the taxpayer. Honorable Paul, please come. Are we ready? And what do we need to do to be ready to be part of this? Later you will get the statistics in terms of the number of people that have already, the number of organizations and corporations that have already registered to be part of this business summit. Welcome, Honorable.
Thank you, my brother Maurice. Honorable Minister, protocol observed, and members of the press. I'm pleased to be here this morning, and my role will be to give you some practical things that's happening down in Pretoria. I am Paul Amoru, the High Commissioner of Uganda to South Africa. I want to start by thanking the President, who has come out very strongly to announce this important trade, investment, and tourism summit, and to invite the private sector and indeed all Ugandans to support it and also to participate actively. As it has been mentioned, this summit is going to happen on the sidelines of a state visit. Minister of Foreign Affairs will be able to elaborate later on the aspects of the trade of the state visit. However, the background to this is that in July last year, we had a joint commission of cooperation between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Africa here in Kampala. And that JCC provided a framework for us to cooperate more, deepen the areas, and also introduce new areas of cooperation, but above all to strengthen our trade and investment cooperation. And as a mission, Foreign Affairs is now focusing more on commercial and economic diplomacy, because we have very good ties with the international community. And when I speak for South Africa, Uganda enjoys very strong and warm bilateral ties. But these ties will only we will only benefit more when we are able to explore opportunities for trade, for investment, and tourism, and also encourage people-to-people interaction that makes our relationship to be sustainable. I will just give quickly, before now I go into the actual program in Pretoria, some of the quick statistics I have. The exports of Uganda to South Africa, in terms of the value, in 2017-2018, we exported goods worth $8.9 million. In 2018-2019, we had $9.9 million. And 2019-2020, it went down to $6.67 million. 2020-2021, it went up a little to $16.53 million. And 2021-2022, we had a leap, taking us to $27.34 million. But with this renewed effort, and as you can see, all the key actors within government and the private sector have come together with support from the number one to help us strengthen our position and be able, probably in the next 1 to 2 years, meet a strategic target, which will be emphasized. Probably we will be looking at 50 to 60 to $100 million in just a period of a year. And to give you perspective, in the same period, South Africa exported to Uganda 2017-2018 $235 million. Ours was 8.9. And 2018-2019, they went up to $318 million for us bringing, South Africa exporting to us. 2019-2020, it came down a bit, but that was 216 million. Ours was 6.6 million. So you are seeing the trade balance. And then 2020-2021, South Africa still maintained about 200 million. And then 2021-2022, they came to 126. So when you see in terms of growth, our numbers are encouraging, but the volumes are still low. Now with these efforts that we have launched today, I think this story is going to change. And then finally, before I go to the programs, the investment opportunities that as a mission we are seeing cover areas of agro-processing in the agro-processing sector, mining, fish, farming, virtual education, cyber security, and data storage, tourism promotion partnerships, medical tourism, road networks, infrastructure, hotels, hospitality, and vineyards. There are more. This is broader, and I think as we go in there, and as you will see from the program, there will be opportunity for Uganda to make a case to present the bankable projects and the opportunities that we have to the government of South Africa and to the private sector. But there will also be opportunity for business-to-business engagements. And right now, we are preparing the profiles of businesses that will participate from South Africa and also from Uganda, and give prior information to our business people to be in contact. And once they are on ground, they're able to, there'll be breakaway sessions where every sector will focus, and businesses will be able to identify opportunities and probably sign deals. So as it has been mentioned, this is a hybrid activity we shall have in South Africa. There will be the state visit, and I can tell you many MOUs are being lined up for signing in different areas, including immigration. And again, Minister of Foreign Affairs will be leading this, and it's expected that senior officials meeting will take place about 4 days before the actual conference, to enable us harmonize on specific issues and also other frameworks, policy issues, especially those that will support the trade and investment efforts that we are putting in place. Honorable Minister, now permit me to briefly run through the program, the 2-day program that we have there. I will jump straight to some of the topics that have been developed. On day one, that is 27th, there will be presentation on the business climate and investment opportunities, and the resource persons have already been identified. Then there will be a question and answer session. After tea break, we shall have interactive session to set the scene, and the topic here will be exploring opportunities to deepen and expand mutually beneficial trade relations, including potential to capitalize on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, COMESA, EAC, SADC, and FTA. And after this, there will be a plenary discussion where Uganda will present a number of speakers, and South Africa will do the same. And those discussions are being identified, and South Africa will moderate that particular session. In the panel discussions, the topic is opportunities and challenges in trade and investment between South Africa and Uganda. And the focus of the session will be identifying bottlenecks and proposing mechanisms for unlocking trade and investment potential between Uganda and South Africa by leveraging on mutually beneficial areas. How can financial instruments be accessed by potential exporters and investors pursuing business opportunities in either South Africa or Uganda? The moderator will be from Uganda, this particular session, and there will be 4 discussants from each country at this stage. Then there will be a networking lunch, and after that we shall go to concurrent roundtable meetings. So roundtable 1 will be optimizing opportunities for trade in agriculture and agro-processing. It will be moderated by officials from South Africa. And then roundtable 2 will be unlocking opportunities for trade and investment in energy, oil, and gas. This will be moderated by Uganda. And then we shall also have discussants from Uganda and from South Africa. Roundtable 3, we shall have prospects for the healthcare, medical devices, and pharmaceutical sector within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And the focus of this session will be strategies for boosting intra-African trade in value-added products with specific focus on healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and medical services. Moderator will be from South Africa. And then there will be discussants, resource person speaks from Uganda and to South Africa as well. And then roundtable 4, and the last one will be enhancing transport, logistics, and distribution infrastructure connectivity between the 2 countries. And the session will focus on unlocking mutually beneficial business opportunities in transport, logistics, and distribution infrastructure in support of increasing bilateral trade between the 2 countries, including financing. So this will mark the end of the first day, and it will be very intense and very interactive, and largely led by the private sector. But government will be there to support it. The Minister of Investment, Uganda Investment Authority, President, and the team. Now, day 2 is what we now calling the presidential session. And it will start with a mini exhibition, and we are expecting exhibitors from Uganda and also from South Africa. And this the two presidents, the president of Uganda and the president of South Africa, will have the opportunity to walk through the exhibition areas and engage with the investors during that particular session. And in the after, once the presidents have come in, there will be the due protocols that will be observed, headed by our ministers, and then the ministers from the government of South Africa. And then there will be a report to the two principals from the business summit, the discussions that have happened, the commitments that have been made, and then the presidents will be invited in to give their remarks. But in the middle, before the presidents come in, there will be opportunity for Uganda to present a video about the tour. It will be focused on tourism. And so as that prime time, there will be opportunity given for that to be played. And I think South Africa also will have something to play. And the last day, we were expecting to have site visits into key plants for oil and gas, animal vaccine, and others. So briefly, that is the picture of the program that we have on ground, and we are working very closely with the Department of Trade, Industry, and Competition of South Africa, and also DIRCO, which is the equivalent of Foreign Affairs in Uganda, and all the private sector that and government and other players are also fully involved. The mission in South Africa covers 6 countries. So that is South Africa itself, then we have Botswana, we have Namibia, we have Zimbabwe, the Royal Kingdom of Eswatini, and the Royal Kingdom of Lesotho. And so this effort is going to spread to also those areas. And Honorable Minister, there's already a lot of interest. Even those other countries are requesting to come and attend to see what is happening so that we don't delay to also organize the others in that region. Otherwise, for now, I will end here and recognize the arrival also of my colleague, Her Excellency Ambassador Tingwana, the High Commissioner of South Africa to Uganda. And I will take this opportunity, with the permission of the Minister, to invite Her Excellency to give a few remarks. All right. I've gotten the permission of the Minister to invite my colleague, who is very, very supportive. And we have had a couple of meetings. Your Excellency, you're most welcome. I know you have a couple of meetings going on, but to spare time to come and give support to this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to my colleague, the High Commissioner of the Republic of Uganda in South Africa, honorable ministers, representatives of different industries, companies, and the organizers, the private sector foundation of Uganda. It is indeed a great honor to me to come and be part of this important event. Indeed, South Africa is very excited, and we are looking forward to receiving His Excellency President Museveni and his delegation of ministers, officials, and business people. This will indeed be an important week of activities and revival, strengthening of the relationship between South Africa and Uganda. This is a relationship that started many years ago during the difficult years of apartheid, when Uganda came forward at a time when the SADC, or the frontline states, had to close the bases of our freedom fighters, Umkhonto Wesizwe, because the UN, the AU, and the SADC region were preparing for the liberation of Namibia and elections in that country. So at that time we had our Army of Liberation based in Angola, which was very close to Namibia. So there was a call for an environment that will be peaceful and that will allow free and fair elections in Namibia. So all the armed forces, including the Cubans, SWAPO, of course SWAPO was going home in Namibia, and also Umkhonto Wesizwe. So Umkhonto Wesizwe had nowhere to go because at that time, the late 80s, early 90s, apartheid was still alive and kicking. So there were negotiations by our leadership under President Oliver Tambo to request African countries to host our brothers and sisters. That then resulted in a few countries. Actually, it was Tanzania and Uganda that offered to take on the armed guerrilla fighters of South Africa, of Umkhonto Wesizwe, coming with their guns, with their bullets, with their whatever they were carrying, and they were welcomed in this country. I know at that time this was a big secret, and Ugandans were not supposed to know about it, but we thank President Museveni for his bravery and courage, but also solidarity that he showed and demonstrated to the people of South Africa. What we are doing now, as we will remember, one of the first countries to be visited by President Nelson Mandela when he was freed from prison was Uganda, to come and thank the people of Uganda for their solidarity and support during those difficult years. Now, after liberation, the liberation of South Africa in 1994, we opened an embassy here in Uganda. I think it was around 94 May or so when President Mandela took over. And relations have grown from strength to strength between our two countries, not only government to government relations, but also business to business and people to people. I have listened to many of our songs that your bands and your artists here actually sing so well. They even know the lyrics of those words, like Mafikizolo's Buti Minanghamba Nawe, which is a very popular song here in Uganda. I know also Umkomboti by Yvonne Chaka Chaka and many others. So that relationship started those many years ago, and we are hoping that we will build it going forward. The focus of our governments right now, because we have all won the struggle for freedom, is the struggle to fight poverty, the struggle to develop our countries and ensure that we create jobs and opportunities. Africa is endowed with huge resources that many of our neighbors far away want to come and take without developing our countries, without ensuring that they add value to our resources like gold, diamonds, oil and gas, and so on and so on. So our heads of state have taken a decision that it is important that we work with one another, particularly work on development, but also beneficiation of our raw materials, so that we can also create jobs on the African soil. We can also benefit, get the full benefit of the value of our resources. Right now, people come and take our oil and gas, people come and take our gold and diamonds, and we go and buy watches Swiss made, but we forget that the gold actually came from Africa. And they come here, very expensive, our jewelry and so on, those are produced elsewhere. If we are able to beneficiate our resources on the African soil, we'll be able to get the full benefit, as President Museveni has always said, from our resources. So this summit is very important. It comes at a time when our heads of state in 2020-21 have signed the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. This is an agreement that says, you know, Europe, intra-Europe trade is at 60-70%. So the Europeans are trading mostly with each other. Intra-Asia trade is at 60% or so. But intra-Africa trade is less than 15%, which means all our trade, most of our countries, we trade with Europe, we trade with America, we trade with China. We don't trade so much amongst ourselves. So this agreement is meant to encourage African countries to trade with one another. In South Africa, we're looking forward to receiving your pineapples, your pawpaw, your coffee. We drink a lot of coffee in South Africa, but we don't have Ugandan coffee. I found out, because this is your top secret, well-kept secret, that you produce the best coffee in Uganda. When I came here, only last year was I able to find out that Uganda produces the best coffee in the world. And that coffee goes to Europe. Some of us who drink so much coffee, we buy coffee, Nescafe, and so on and so on. They tell you where it comes from, Europe, and so on. They don't mention Africa because Uganda, they export most of their coffee. Ethiopia, well, I believe they drink their coffee, probably export some of it. But we are saying those are the opportunities that our presidents are looking for. What is it that we can do in agriculture? What is it that we can do to process our pineapples? You have huge pineapples here. What do we do with them? Are they rotting in the fields somewhere? Or can we add value and produce pineapple juice, pineapple wine, probably, and sell it to other countries, including Europe? So I think those are the areas we're looking at. My brother has mentioned agriculture and agri-processing. We have a lot of experience in agriculture. We're doing commercial agriculture in South Africa. We're self-sufficient in terms of food and nutrition. So we have a lot that we can share with Uganda. But also we don't produce your beautiful pineapples, pawpaw, even avocado. So those are the areas we can exchange and make sure that we access the market in South Africa. We also are interested in the oil and gas sector. As my brother has said, we have opportunities and some experience in that area. We have big companies like Sasol that will share some of their technologies with Uganda. We're also interested in the pharmaceuticals. We're able to produce a lot of vaccines, but also medications, tablets, and so on. And I know that you are good in that area, So it's an area where, again, we can have a cooperation and sharing of ideas and exchanges. We also believe that there's a lot of opportunities in mining in Uganda. South Africa has more than 100 years of experience in mining. We have equipment, machinery that we can share with Uganda, but also the expertise in gold, in iron ore, diamonds, and a lot of minerals that we are producing in South Africa. So that is yet another opportunity that we can look at and share with your country. We are looking forward to this business summit, which will be held on the 27th to the 28th of February. We are expecting about 150 companies from Uganda. South Africa will also invite about 150 companies to the summit, so that there is a good sharing and business to business opportunities that people can partner with their counterparts in South Africa, and also look at investment opportunities in the country. So, Honorable Minister, South Africa is open to business and investment. We are inviting especially African companies and African business people to come and invite in our country. With those few words, I'm looking forward to welcoming you in South Africa, and also to say once again, thank you for the opportunity. I will stay for a little while because we are also preparing for the summit at the end of this month. So there are lots of virtual meetings that we are attending with our government departments in Pretoria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your inspiring remarks and the assurance that you have given to Ugandans and the private sector that the South African market is open. Just in now 1 minute, Honorable Minister, there's already a lot of mobilization happening in Pretoria or in South Africa, and one of the things we did was to bring together the Ugandan businesses in South Africa. And already there is now a forum, which is FUBSA, and I was happy to come together with the chairman of the forum of Ugandan business in South Africa, that is Comrade Phillips Kakuru, who is there. Yes, and also a member of his executive, Madame Monica Rubombora, who also is our country rep for Uganda Airlines in South Africa. Probably during the question time, they may have opportunity to say a few things. Otherwise, other logistical issues, including accommodation, transport, visa, support, all this is being coordinated, but we would wish that the participants register early, and then the products that the High Commissioner was talking about, we need them probably by end of this week latest, so that we are able to process their entry into South Africa. It goes through customs, and there are other processes when you're bringing animal products, probably agricultural products, and the rest. So even those that may not be covered under certain frameworks now, but because of this summit, we have an agreement that the moment we provide those products, there will be a mechanism to allow them access South Africa and be part of the products to be exhibited. Otherwise, for now, I will end here. Thank you so much for your kind audience.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Paul Amoro. And Mama Lulu, as she likes to be famously called. I want to quickly ask the next two speakers. We are in between a very interesting press conference that's coming up. So I want to ask the chairman, Uganda Investment Authority, Morrison Rakakamba, to come and position the UIA where they will be targeting, the spotlight for the UIA in Pretoria, South Africa. And then PSFU, as our co-conveners, will speak last before I invite the minister to take questions.
Thank you, Maurice. Good morning. The Honorable Minister, Excellencies, and all protocol observed. I was from Uganda Investment Authority, really few things, because first of all, I think the previous speakers and more so, His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of South Africa to Uganda has already showed us the expansive feasibility and justification on why we need to get on the next plane and go to South Africa, because opportunities for trade, for investment are already clear and present. But also to add one thing, to really emphasize that the investment between Uganda and South Africa is historical. It started from investment in peace and freedom. Now it is transitioning to investment in business, prosperity, and ending poverty. And I think that is the basis in terms of where we are going. The Honorable Amuru said one important thing, which was about the trade imbalance that already happens between our two sister countries. And clearly, that is a consequence of the fact that South Africa is exporting high-value added products to this country. And I think as a country, we are still exporting low-value added products. But I want to report to the country that the latest data sets we have from Uganda Investment Authority is that we already have over 4,500 factories in this country that are invested in a number of areas. So it therefore demonstrates that we have started this journey of value addition. And now the market question, how do we get our products that are manufactured here to the South African market? The African Continental Free Trade Area is answering that, and we are going with investors, our manufacturers, who are already here in this country, to South Africa, to tell South Africans that, make no mistake, we are already producing some cars, we're already producing some batteries, we're already adding value on coffee, we're already adding value on cocoa and many other things, and we have them. Please, South Africans, allow us in your market. So we are going with most of them. The other aspect is, as Uganda Investment Authority and coordinating with the other agencies, we are going to be telling South Africans that Uganda is ready to do strategic partnerships for investment in our country. Yesterday, the President at Talehista mentioned value addition again. And as Uganda Investment Authority, we have secured 12 square miles of land that are being transformed into industrial parks, which is the base where investors put their factories and companies. And we are telling South Africans, come, match-make with our investors in this country. We give you free land in our industrial parks. You come and invest in Uganda such that we continue to expand trade and investments. Finally, I want to talk a bit about the 3 I's, which are going to continue the integration that the Honorable Ambassador mentioned. The 3 I's that are going to make this imbalance in terms of intra-trade within Africa. Because she said intra-trade in Europe is at 67%, Africa is at 15%. But how do we transition to 67% or to 100%? There are 3 I's. One is integration. The African Continental Free Trade Area is one part, but we need to deepen that integration. And I think it is happening, but we need to go deeper. Even our laws need to be integrated. Our movement of peoples need to be integrated. And I suspect that at some point we may want to discuss with South Africa things like visas and all these things. We should be able to move People should get on the plane, on boats, on cars, and move into South Africa, and South Africans move here without restrictions like visa. That is the eye of integration. The other eye is infrastructure. We have to continue the dreams of our forefathers that wanted to build roads from Cape Town to Cairo, and from, east to west, building, high standard gauge railway to make sure that our people can move. Our aviation costs, I think, are still the highest. Intra-Africa aviation costs to move on a plane are still very high. And I believe that our principals, the heads of government, are going to be discussing some of those things. So that is infrastructure that supports the integration of the peoples and commerce. And finally, another final eye is the institutions. We have to keep strengthening our institutions such that they act fairly and that they put the interests of the private sector and the businesses ahead. Thank you very much.
Ndugu Stephen Asimwe, CEO Private Sector Foundation Uganda, who also, while speaking, may introduce our lead facilitator, Moffat, to just say hello. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Maurice, Honorable Minister, the Excellencies Ambassadors, Mr. Audrey Rabogo, Head of PASID, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be quick because most of the points have been covered. I'm representing the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda, PSFU. We have been the secretariat of this initiative, and our work is to facilitate this entire discussion between the private sector with the guidance of government and the private sector in South Africa. A lot has been said, but just to quickly highlight, Honorable Minister, that the figures that have been projected on the growth of the trade between South Africa and Uganda have been as a result of government's facilitation towards this initiative. What Mr. Rawogo emphasized was the need to grow in depth, and of course what Mr. Wakakamba has just said about the qualitative export capacity. Now, on behalf of the private sector, we would like to report to you that our business community has been engaging with the business community in South Africa. Although, Your Excellency, Mama Lulu, there are still some issues that will be discussed at the conference, and we are very excited that some of the issues will be highlighted, so to really unblock the bottlenecks that are there. We are seeking for new markets. We want to create exchange programs. We have a big Ugandan diaspora in Southern Africa. PSFU is the focal point of the COMESA Business Council, and we hope to engage that with that community in that area. I'd like to announce that so far, 160 businesses have confirmed participation in the conference, and many more are still registering. We have highlighted the fact that most of them, Your Excellencies, are in the areas of agriculture, agribusiness, tourism and hospitality, professional services, transport and logistics, energy and minerals, especially our Chamber of Mines and Petroleum has a big contingent of partnerships when they are going down to South Africa. We're also going with a large number of private sector tour operators, hoteliers, and people who are going to facilitate that discussion. And I'm glad Lily Ajarova is here from the Uganda Tourism Board. We are working closely with Uganda Airlines to ensure that we have a seamless transfer of people and exhibition materials to South Africa. We are working on that. We have a couple of companies with the support of the UNDP, which have been trained in export readiness, and we're working on standards to ensure that we really take qualitative products down there. And working with the Uganda Bankers Association, we have announced an export credit facility. And with the World Bank, we are working on an export farm support to discuss what Mr. Rabogo shared earlier. So as I conclude, very quickly, the companies are mostly in what I've just mentioned, but also we have a large contingent of manufacturers, many of whom have been sanctioned and supported by the Uganda Investment Authority. Logistics is going to be a big discussion, how to move goods from Uganda to Southern Africa. Financial services, how to support these companies to access finance. Health and education, Your Excellency, Madam Zulu, I'm a product of Rhodes University. So I'm coming back home to see my alumni, but we also want exchange of students from those places to study in Uganda. But lastly, but not least, we want many Ugandan private sector creatives players. We want our singers to go to South Africa, to go to Durban, to go to Cape Town, to go to Pretoria, to go to Limpopo and present. We have many South Africans. There's a balance of creatives. We have more South Africans coming to sing here, but we want more Ugandan singers, actors. In Eastern Cape, we shall come. So with those few words, I would like to end there, but to say PSFU is the secretariat. Please come. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce that we have got a catalog of products that are going to be taken to South Africa. Please come and consult with us. We are very careful. The South African government has given us certain premiums with which, along which standards to go with. But secondly, I would also like to emphasize on the issue of integrity. We are going to do some serious scanning so that not just everybody is just going to jump on the plane. You must have a certain threshold upon which will be measured. But we'd like you to come and bring your samples early so that we ensure that they fit within the phytosanitary, but the requisite standards that are needed by the South African. Yes, I would like to invite Julie Navuma, please come here. She's the Julie Navuma, where are you? Hurry, please. Yes, so just come quickly here. PSFU, plot 43, Nakasero Road. Come and see Julie Navuma. She's the one registering people, products, time, companies, etc. Give your number and we sign out. Thank you. Your number.
It's a live stream.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Asimwe, the CEO. Well, my number is 0782 750946 or 0705 27 92 72. Thank you.
Please, only for this trip, not other people.
I was about to put that disclaimer that this is only about the business summit and nothing else. All right. So I want to take the pleasure of inviting the minister as the minister comes to open the questions. We're only taking 3 questions. So if I see the first 3 hands, because we are running Malcolm, Natty Dread, any other? Yes. So those 3 will be our questions. There's no gender sensitivity here. Olivia, you're not asking a question? I think I saw Olivia somewhere. No ladies asking a question? Our minister can't be a lady and the ladies don't ask. So we have 3 questions, Honorable Minister. But I wanted to recognize Ambassador Julius Kivuna, Head of Regional Peace and Security, who is here representing Foreign Affairs, but also because Honorable His Excellency Paul Amoru spoke. He spoke really on behalf of Foreign Affairs, so I won't ask him to come and speak. But Honorable Minister, please come. Malcolm, you can ask your question. Please come. Do we have a mic, Seruga, that we can hear them? Microphone? Yes.
Check. Oh, thank you very much, Maurice. Thank you, Your Excellencies and Honorable Minister Nite. It's unfortunate that we just have 3 questions only, but mine is 1, but it has like 3. So first to you, Honorable Minister, why is it that we see that we still have a lot to do in terms of trading with South Africa, especially exporting, closing the trade imbalance that we have currently? And this is a problem that has been happening across the board. Why don't we have cargo planes taking our produce in case we have it to these countries? You can name them, North Africa, etc. We seem to be, we started off with only passenger planes. When ideally we should have started cargo planes if we're talking trade. And then to Audrek, the production capacity, speak of growing our produce, but the production capacity seems to still be low. We even seem not to have enough to export, if you ask me. So what is the Presidential Exports Committee that you head, sir, doing to grow the capacity of farmers to produce more so that we can have more exports? Ambassador Moore, what exactly did Uganda export to South Africa so that people can hear this going forward? The tourism chief, what can you tell us? What can Uganda benefit from the South African market? You recently, expanded, to dealing with different countries in sharing visitors, attracting more visitors here. What can South African visitors come to see in Uganda? Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Natty Dredd from Explore Africa Magazine and Photo Source News Agency. My question goes to everyone who's concerned in this event.
Everyone will answer.
Everyone who's there. Yeah, I don't know why you don't really focus into publicity when it comes to market. I don't know where you market, where you advertise to. My concern is that I have this magazine called Explore Africa, which have been over 10 years, but I've never ever got support in this magazine. Other companies like Ethiopia Airlines and other companies from outside there, they do advertise really into a magazine, support me. But Ugandans have never supported me. I don't know whom do you support. Once I was in, I happened to move with Mr. Asimwe when he was the CEO of it. We went to Ndaba, South Africa. I exhibited my magazine, and Uganda became #1 exhibitor. I don't know why. My request is that I request you, all of you, to support me, and we go forward to support Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. My question goes to the minister. Madam Minister, when I was in South Africa, for a few months which I spent there, these people have been Europeanized. Their consumerism is on a European standard. We have traders who are going to South Africa to exhibit our products. I hope they won't embarrass us by carrying bunches of bananas. These South Africans want the banana to be put in, divided into six fingers, packed, and of course they prefer even pictures on a box, not a bunch of banana. Madam Minister, you and me agree that the rate of value addition in Uganda is still lacking. What are you doing as a ministry to fight that one? Thank you.
The what?
The rate of value addition of our products.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the advertising company. I love Martin for taking advantage of every opportunity he finds in front of him. And you said your question goes to everyone. So I volunteer, first of all, to give you business. You know that I have recently got an award of having the best new hotel in Uganda, Hotel Le Confidential in Arua City. So just know you have that business. Now to the question of Malcolm. Malcolm, you had a very good question, and I love that patriotic question. Why don't we start with cargo planes? Because you want to see our products going to the market, to South Africa. The answer is yes. We have 2 planes, although they are passenger planes, but the new Airbus, and I've been reliably informed by officials from Uganda Airlines who introduced herself, that lady put in yellow like me. And you'll get more details. And what she tells me is that the Airbus actually has capacity of taking 36 tons. The problem of the trade imbalance that you just had is because the South Africans import into Uganda export into Uganda high value products. And what are we taking? We're taking bananas, as he said. So we need to emphasize value addition so that we are able to match that trade imbalance. And yes, we're going to do that, and that is work in progress for us. As you just heard my brother Audric, we've teamed up. We want to fight this business of government working in silos, that Ministry of Trade doesn't look with eye to eye with Ministry of Investment. Ministry of Investment doesn't look eye to eye with private sector foundation, and yet you need the private sector, and it's a private sector-led economy. And so we are trying to bridge that gap. And that's why you see us together working and coming together in the same platform to try to bridge that gap and see we take high-value products. But the good news is just yesterday I was visiting, I went into the field, and when I was in Namamve, I saw this wonderful state-of-art packaging factory, industry, which is packaging Ugandan products, and it's underutilized. So many Ugandans are exporting, but their products, they will have aflatoxin, they will have those bean weevils, they would have all sorts of things, and they get bounced back. And now, when we had the European Union, you had the European Union telling us how our products get bounced back. So these guys have built set of art, and led by scientists in Uganda, and it's here in Namamve, Roxa. And I'm not marketing their business, but I'm just trying to ask Ugandans, and I'm very happy having the journalism background, and I'm telling you, the best communicators and the best way of passing this message is having this crowd. So as Ugandans, now I'm happy that you have patriotic journalists like Malcolm here and doing the business. Go and cover this place. And you tell the Ugandans to go and package there, so that we don't carry our bananas in caveras and we think that people will buy. If you put in Kavera, nobody will buy, and above all in a black Kavera, they'll think that you're carrying. Somebody cracked my ribs that Ugandans are known for exporting something in South Africa. We need to change that image, and I'll not say that that's something. Excellency Ambassador Lulu, I just want to ask Ugandans to clap for you. Thank you very, very much. I loved your presentation. You're telling us what we have to focus on. As Ugandans working in private sector foundation with PASID, we are going to make sure that we put these products in the right way and meet the demand that you've created that side. We are happy to hear the demand. Even before we arrive in South Africa, you're doing an excellent job for your country and for your government, and for us as government and our private sector will take advantage of it and make sure that we export in that market. I did answer your question, which is, I want to say that we're emphasizing value addition. You heard Morrison talking about value addition, 25 industrial parks. What are we doing in those industrial parks? We want to do value addition. We want to also start exporting our cars. We're manufacturing, assembling buses, fabricating buses in Uganda. We want to see these buses not only being used in Uganda, but also taken to South Africa. That is how we're going to bridge that trade imbalance. But for as long as we're going to take low-value products, we will not be able to do that. And I speak this as a businesswoman who has also ventured now into coffee. And our Fikra coffee, I would make sure that we package it very nicely, because packaging, branding is it. Because if I come in front of people not well presented, they're not going to want to talk to me. And so it's a product presentation. So we are talking to our private sector investors to present this product in a very beautiful and attractive way, so that we can actually increase its value. And our coffee is the best in the world. I say this without any fear. It is the best in the world. But the issue is, how do we present it? So we have to make it to be presented in a very good way. That said, I want to ask my brother Audric to answer the questions raised to him. We would be very happy to go with some journalists from Uganda at your cost. We are negotiating. We will discuss this with PASID to see. And there are some questions that were raised to tourism, and Ambassador Lulu wants to say it. So in the order of protocol, I'll ask Ambassador Lulu to answer quickly, and then invite my brother Audric to answer, and then tourism.
Thank you.
Yes. By the way, Ambassador Lulu, I just wanted to tell you, South Africa was a country of choice for my honeymoon. So I'm happy to go back.
Must come back again.
Thank you.
Which city?
Cape Town.
Oh, that's fine. You must come to my village, Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth, very beautiful, and East London. I wanted to answer, someone asked, what can South Africans expect to see in Uganda? Uganda is very beautiful. Yes, it is the pearl of Africa, but South Africa is the most beautiful country in the world. However, we don't have your great gorillas. She reminded me, Lily reminded me that South Africans can come and see gorillas in Uganda. But I also want to advise Ugandans. We know only Rwanda to be the country with gorillas. We don't know about your gorillas in Uganda. But I also want to say we are probably very good in tourism in the continent. And someone was talking about Indaba, tourism in Indaba. And the ministry here has been very supportive and has attended our Indabas almost every year. But what is important, you can have the best tourist destinations in the world. If you don't have the infrastructure to reach your gorillas, nobody will go there. We have, therefore, to ensure that we have the tourism infrastructure, that a tourist from Europe, from America, from Asia will come and appreciate in Uganda. So I think we can work together in this area. Our Ministry of Tourism runs training programs, and I know every year some Ugandans have attended those training programs that will assist our governments and our countries to reach the necessary standard to attract tourists all over the world. I also want to add that we have Uganda Airlines, yes, but we also have Airlink, a South African airline that is also doing Entebbe, Johannesburg 4 times a week. So access to Entebbe, access to Johannesburg is not an issue for Ugandans and South Africans. I also want to say we have a number of companies, Sanral, Transnet, and others, private companies, that build good roads in South Africa. If you have been to South Africa, you know we have good roads. And those roads have been built by South African companies. I think we need to do partnerships in infrastructure as African countries. Ugandans working with South Africans, sharing experiences, expertise, and skills to ensure that we build our own roads, not roads that will go when the next rainy season comes, but roads that will stay with us, that will be serviced, and that will be long-lasting. Lastly, Minister, I want to answer the question that South Africans are Europeanized or something like that. I think when we talk about standards, standards don't belong to Europe. We must not make the mistake of saying, you know, one leader said, African countries are shitholes. A great leader, supposed leader, insulting all of us in one word. So we must not prove anyone correct by saying we don't have standards in Africa. Standards belong to Europe. There's nothing like that. We have standards in Africa. This is why we're sitting here. We have got clean roads. Our municipality here cleans our roads. I don't know what time they do it, but we're a very clean city, Kampala. And we must be proud of that. South Africa wants standards, phytosanitary standards, to ensure that we don't import diseases. Let's say your pawpaw, your pineapple, your avocado, we must make sure that it does not have diseases. Those are the standards we put for ourselves, we set. When we import apples or grapes to Uganda, you must also make sure that those apples are not bringing diseases from South Africa into your agricultural sector. So our agricultural sector and our Ministry of Trade are ready to train our brothers and sisters in standards that they require before they can export, for instance, fruits or goats or animals and so on. And those that have been trained and accepted in South Africa will also be able to export to China, export to Indonesia, export to Europe, to America, because the standards are the same. So I just want us to say, please, standards are not European. We also have standards, African standards, where we are. Thank you very much.
I think I was asked one question, but let me just quickly take this opportunity. I know in the media we don't clap when we write, take pictures, we don't clap. I just want you to clap for my sister, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Investment, because she's coordinating us very well. Huh? Investment and trade go together. You also need to thank Ambassador Shingwana. That's how they pronounce it? Shingwana. Shingwana. I can do that. Huh?
I know that Ugandans, Ghanaians, Kenyans, Nigerians, they are all European.
They can say,
Only the SADC Africans can say it.
oh, that's beautiful.
You must be angry and say it.
I just want us to put our hands together and clap for her. See, when a visitor speaks to you, speaks about you nicely, right? You don't take it for granted. Eh? Some of us who know our country just a little better, there's a sub-county called Busedan, who comes from Sironko. Busedan is just beautiful, eh? Yes. Just as you come out of Bulambuli, right? And you climb up the slopes of the Elgon, eh? There is 1,000 women who grow Bugisu AA. That's the best certified Arabica coffee global. She is telling you a fact. Uganda produces the best coffee in the world. Eh? So she's affirming those 1,000 women. Eh? So for me, I thank you to be the best witness that you are for our products. Eh?
I have that coffee in my office.
Very good. So just the answer, quickly. Production increases is a function of two things. Huh? And I don't have time, I would do some lecture. It is a function of skill and incentives. Huh? Skill, because I am a peasant, right? I can only do so much. And because we are so many peasants, you can only help us by aggregating. But when you aggregate us, we're producing with different standards. Eh? So because our skill is still growing, not low, growing, we have to hold on to anything that gives us the market. Because the market is an incentive. It pushes us to act better because the market carries price. Now, when a company exports South Africa, it's different from selling in Nakasero. If you have pineapple growers from Kayunga sell in South Africa, those companies that are in the middle, they are of a different type and nature. So let's not worry so much about, do we have enough quantity? Let's worry about, are we growing skill? Are we getting new market? And in the process, are we getting investment in the value chains that grow the pineapples? Yeah? So for me, it's agromelation. So I produce milk, but in my plant, 120,000 installed capacity, I'm doing about 60%. Of that 60%, my farm is only doing 2%. Where is all the other milk coming? From my neighbors. So agromelation will get us the quantities. Two, standards that we speak of that Her Excellency spoke about nicely is the only way to grow the quantities. It doesn't matter how much you have. If you can't sell, you can't do anything. And then obviously investment in the value chain grows our standard. So I hope that answers you. Second question that I want to touch is on, let me combine cargo and publicity. I think my brother just held up a magazine and told you we must advertise. So let me give you a secret. Uganda Airlines doesn't need to advertise in Uganda so much as it needs to advertise in South Africa. If you spend more time speaking about Uganda in South Africa, you lift people who come to the airport and each one of them leaves you with $50 at the airport. They sleep in a hotel room, they eat 2 eggs. There's much more we get by advertising in the markets where we're going rather than spending a lot of time doing it locally. I know that Lillian will oppose me. She will say, I need people to visit Bwindi. Yes, but they don't give me as much as if I spent time advertising in London and I can feel a plane of 200 people coming here, each one leaving here $5,000, it's a better economy. So while you speak of advertising here and media here, be careful about the conversations you have on social media because they are reflected in those markets. Be sensitive as media what you're saying about each other. The lies you tell are the ones that are picked and they stop tourist arrivals. The things you blow out of proportion, so she says, I have a hotel, instead of applauding her and thanking her for creating jobs, you say, oh, now she has a hotel, she's not supposed to have one. You are stopping tourists from arrival. Part of exports, people, let me tell you, is building a national ethic. It is to care about my neighbor. It is to care about what comes out of my mouth. It is to care what picture I send before Ambassador Paul brings people to South Africa. So my clarion call to you is let's exercise sensitivity. Sensitivity to the maximum, what we say, what we do, what products we take. Even if there is a mistake, hide it and clean it. You don't have to just wash your dirty linen in public. Huh? Are we together? Yeah. I hope that answers. Thank you, thank you.
Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Specific to the question I was asked, how are we attracting visitors from South Africa? First, I want to say that South Africa is one of our major source markets within the continent. And the 5 key source markets that we have in Africa is South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Kenya. So we are intentionally focusing on getting South African to Uganda for tourism and investment. And one of the things we are doing is we have actually hired a market destination representative who is representing us in the South African market. This is a new thing, so we hope that it will actually be able to help increase the awareness about destination Uganda in South Africa. What we are also doing is we are attending the tourism expos. At the same time when the summit is happening, we'll be having Meetings Africa. Meetings Africa is a tourism expo, and this is where we are positioning Uganda as a business destination. That's for MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. In 2019, Uganda was rated as the 6th best destination for mice in Africa. So by attending meetings Africa at the end of this month, we will be positioning ourselves better for business tourism. We continue to attend several of the other tourism expo like in Durban, you know, WTM Africa and the others. I also want to say that one of our biggest marketing tool is actually Uganda Airlines. We have a direct flight to South Africa, and Uganda Airlines is marketing us, and we are working together to make sure that we get recognized and popularize destination Uganda through Uganda Airlines. And also, we have been working together to make sure we have special packages. And one of the things we are working on right now is we have our own signature event, the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. Yes, we attend, we reach out into the market, but we also want the market to come and experience what we have. So from 26th to 29th of April, we will be having the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo in Kampala at Munyonyo Resort, where we will be hosting the travel trade, the media, all the different categories of players in the tourism sector across the globe. They will be in Uganda. And we are working with our MDR in South Africa to make sure that we bring in as many of the South Africans as possible. The other thing is also to have them come here and show them the investment opportunities beyond just the leisure and enjoying what we have, from the weather, the source of the longest river in the world, the Rwenzoris, the gorillas, the chimpanzees, and all that. We have lots of investment opportunities in tourism, so we will be packaging some of these investment opportunities to show them. Even as we attend the summit, we'll definitely be there. We hope that we will be having a panel to have a discussion on tourism, and at the same time we'll be attending the Meetings Africa Expo, and then we bring everybody back with us in April. So that's what we are doing for now, but there's a lot more that we have in plan, and we recognize that the continent remains our biggest market. Your Excellency, the one thing we have is that for tourism, our biggest market is within the continent. So we are proud that we are getting more Africans, you know, involved in tourism and visiting the continent. Thank you very much.
Yes, the most recent CEO award, tourism award, was in South Africa. Congratulations to you. Honorable Minister, I think the only thing I can request is you and the team and the ambassadors here in front for this very nice photo opportunity to officially commission the activities in the run-up to the business summit. So, Honorable Minister, the ambassadors, Odrek and the team and the agencies present, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, represented by Ambassador Kivuna. If we could all arrange ourselves here. I want to quickly hand over to our next very big conference, and Seruga will run us through what will be happening very shortly. We really want to apologize to members of the press and the journalists who are here to cover the next session. We apologize for this, but this was also very important and we had to have it. So Seruga, over to you in a few minutes. Let's leave the photo for now.
You can't charter a plane.
Yeah, we'll,
Seruga, you're welcome to introduce our next session. And just to give you some information, Uganda Airlines is increasing their flights to South Africa starting the 1st of March. They will be introducing the 5th flight to Johannesburg on Wednesday, the 1st of March 2023. So that increases our frequency into South Africa effective March.
Thank you, brother. We apologize that the next session has taken, we have waited for long, but also this was so important. Thank you, our guests. As you get ready to take leave, we are waiting for the Minister of State for Sports and the Minister of State for Tourism, and a bigger team that's going to talk about matters concerning tourism and sports. I request my colleague Jackie Maiga, as we clean up the backdrops, and invite the ministers to come. Abo.